Alright, welcome back to the channel, BS Gang. Shout out to my two members right now at the moment, Charles Cow and Arya, for becoming a member. But let's go ahead and break this down. So, I did this video before, right? I recorded a whole video, but my dumbass forgot to include green draw. I don't know how. I really don't know how I did that. So, I'm going to go ahead and break this down because I am short on time. So, apologies if this is a little rushed, but let me know in the comments if you guys agree, disagree, etc., if you get through the whole video. So, in SS tier, we have Green Gulther, we have Escanor, Rugal, and Droll. I think this is a solid SS tier because Green Gulther is pretty much the best unit in the game to some people. I myself think he is the best unit in the game. Green Escanor is still a crazy green unit even to this day. Very top tier choice. Removes buffs. Has a great ultimate attack. He can deal a lot of damage. He's just really good. Rugal unfortunately is pretty much restricted to Pierce team, but he can also be used as a farming unit. And he's just a very good green unit. Green Droll, same thing. He's a very green unit. I put him in SS tier because I think he is really good. He has a detonate card. His ultimate is a charge ultimate AoE. He can restrict other units like the enemy team from getting their ultimate, which is nice. He disables buff and debuff skills. I think he is a solid SS tier unit, right? And then in the S tier, we have Merlin and Athena. These two are great sub units because Merlin gives you one ultimate gauge, and then she depletes 2 ultimate gauges when you defeat enemy unit. So very good sub units, very top tier. Estarossa and Diane, there's really nothing to say about them. Estarossa, full counter, got his commandment, which reduces attack related stats by 20%. You got his blackout, very good unit. Diane is just a tank. She is probably gonna stay here because the one, when he comes out, she's very good at stopping him in his tracks. She actually is very good at stopping him in his tracks. He doesn't really like do much damage against her unless of course she doesn't have her barrier up or has her taunt card up, right? But she is still very good. In the A unit. Now Zoratras, I did move him up initially from the trash rating, right? Oh, I don't have the video up, but I did move him from trash rating. I completely undersold this unit initially when he came out. He's a very good PvE unit, and he's good against the Grey Demon. Also his passive. If you do not crit, you get a damage increase equal to his crit chance. So whatever his crit chance, or you have crit chance on him, right? If he doesn't crit, he will literally get that much damage back in his attack. So it's a very good unique, and I like it a lot. He also has, I think, Shatter, which is very good. So then we have Valenti. Valenti, I did move her. Initially, she was, I believe, in SS. Now she's in A. Valenti herself isn't the greatest anymore because now that there's a lot of reds coming out, she just gets cock blocked a lot. She gets cream pied. Also, her passive, it isn't the best. It is very good against Pierce comps, obviously, but against everyone else, I found that it actually isn't the best. Now, if you run her with a defense-oriented team, could potentially be very good, but other than that, not really. Shin is a great unit too. He's now that the Fort Solgris and gold farming stages have been updated on global, he's a very top tier unit for actually like farming and manually doing anvil farms. So Shin is a very good unit. I did move him up from B to A for that exact reason. He also does do pretty decent work in, I would say, more so ungeared PvP than geared, but you can put gear on him if you would like. Now, B tier. I think everyone in B tier is deserving of their rank. I did move Titan Aaron down. He's pretty self-explanatory. He's not that great anymore. Towards the middle of the year, he might actually move down to C tier, which is unfortunate, but he's just not the craziest unit. Elizabeth, I did keep Elizabeth, and no, I moved her up from C to B because in the Grey Demon, she starts off with 3 ult gauges if you have Merlin as a sub unit. So very good. She then increases everyone's ult gauge when she uses her ultimate by 2, which is phenomenal. She removes the buff on the Grey Demon, the HP buff on the last stage of him. She also heals and removes debuff, so she's very good. She's a very good unit for that stage. She also has some very decent cards too, so I don't think she's completely trash. I did move her up 1 tier, so there you go. Jericho and King, pretty self-explanatory. They're pretty much only used in specific areas of content, and they haven't really changed much since the beginning of the game, I'm not going to lie. So they're staying right where they are. I did move Green Demon Meliodas down from A to B as well. I think he's deserving of a B slot. No one really uses him anymore, unfortunately, and his skills are kind of So it is what it is, but I still think he can be good in some situations. So B tier is where he's at. Mon Speed and Derriere. Derriere might move up to A when Assault Mode Meliodas comes out, but Mon Speed is pretty much here. He might move down towards the middle of the year simply because Kyo on JP, he doesn't see much play because of the one Escanor exists, and the one Escanor will literally cream pie him. So like he might actually move down to C, even though Kyo does exist and helps him out. It's like, you know what I mean? So he might move down. We'll see what happens. And in Deathpierce, I moved him from C to B because I believe Deathpierce is actually very, very good in the 4th slot, right? The sub slot, 4th slot, whatever you want to call it. More units nowadays do want to crit, so having him in the 4th slot would be very, very beneficial to those units like Zeldris, Sariel, the 1 potentially, right? Even Ladosel, for, you know, some situations would be nice to have Deathpierce on the back, right? And especially with Green Gother, his existence helps increase attack-related stats by 7%. So Deathpierce did move from C to B, and I think this B category is pretty good where it's at. You could potentially move Deathpierce up to A, but I think he's gonna be at B now since he's only really used situational, right? And situational you know, events where they need to crit. So there you go. C, these units aren't really that good. Bond is probably gonna move down to D towards the middle of the year because I'm gonna do this again at you know, towards, you know, summertime or whatever. So he'll probably move down to D, and then Grayamore, he can be good in some situations, but overall, he's just not good. Same thing goes for Halloween Gilia. She probably moved down to D too. She's not as good either. Lilia, I moved her from D to C because I think Lilia actually does help out in tanking with her passive, and her first skill like decreases attack related stats. She also can increase the damage dealt on enemies. So, I mean, you know what I mean. She's all right. I mean, she's all right. I'm not gonna, you know, completely, you know, jerk her off, but you know, she's all right, I guess. And then Green Diane is just I think honestly Green Diane is mid. Like, she's a mid unit for farming too. She doesn't do much. She really just doesn't do anything. You can use her for farming if you don't have any other option for farming, I guess. But other than that, she doesn't really provide much, and it's unfortunate because, you know, we don't really have too many good Dianes in the game either. So yeah, so she's at C. She's at C, and then D unit. So Fraudrin was initially at SS tier. I moved him all the way down to D, right? I moved him all the way down to D because now he doesn't do anything. It's unfortunate. He was replaced by Ladosio, right? Who's another whale unit who's much better than him. Red units stomp him. His skills aren't the greatest. He can remove buffs, which is actually really good, right? Which is actually really, really good. However, his passive just isn't good nowadays because more units that come out have higher CC naturally than Fraudrin. So having to out CC them would mean you would have to work on his cosmetics. You would have to work on his level, which he is summonable, right? But you would have to really invest in him, which I just don't think it's worth it now. I really don't. I don't think it's worth it. So he's unfortunately at a D tier. Green Fat King and Counter Meliodas actually aren't, you know, like, they're bad, but they can be used in some situations. Like, you know, he's like a starter unit, and then Green Fat King actually has a decent kit. He helps Tarmiel tank a lot with his passive being increases defense by 100% when he has max ult gauge, and then he has a charge AoE, so I think that actually is pretty good. Honestly, I was hesitant to put him up here, but I think D, he's fine where he's at right now. And the Zanari doesn't do much. She's just pretty much a sub unit, but she has okay skills, right? She has a recovery card which disables debuffs, which removes debuffs on rank 1, which is alright. And then she has a single target ult gauge seal card, which isn't the greatest, but whatever. These units are just trash. These units are just trash. There's nothing else to say. These units are just trash. Like, I hate Gerhard. She's like the worst unit in the game for me. But Hellbrun's been replaced by Easton, who just does what he does a lot better, honestly. And then Elaine doesn't really provide much. She has a good passive for fairies, but until we get more and more fairies, she's not gonna be that great. And then Bond, like Bond is just he's no, right? So again, sorry if I went through this a little fast. I am like pressed on time. So if you did enjoy, go ahead and leave a like, comment, and subscribe, right? Let me know if you guys agree with the tier list, if it's good, if it's bad, where would you put certain units, etc., etc. As always, I will see you all next time.